Thank you to our dear hosts for this morning's session. Thank you, Principal Secretary, dear Career, dear faculty members, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, but above all, dear students. Thank you so much for having us here in Nairobi. As French Minister Delegate for Foreign Affairs, visiting Kenya was crucial, and I have to tell you, it is my first visit, so I'm extremely excited. Really, really excited. We are in a very prestigious university, one that is full of history, as you said, and some of you are students in the field of international affairs. So allow me, as an introduction, to tell you how strategic our partnership with Kenya is for us. So coming to Kenya was crucial, I said, because Kenya is becoming a leading voice of international affairs on climate change, on the reform of international financial institutions, on peace and security. Kenya's voice weighs more and more on the world stage. You host a UN headquarter based and now play a real operational role, for example, in the fight against terrorism in Somalia and beyond. More recently, President Ruto committed himself personally with regards to the stabilization in Haiti. And as a French minister, but also as a Caribbean who grew up in the Dominican Republic near Haiti, I can tell you how important this is for us and how much Kenya is doing in the region. I will add that Kenya's geography is also a big asset. Your country is the gateway to what we call the Indo-Pacific. For us, it's very strategic, and there's also a French presence in that area of the world. So it's a natural bridge for us. It's also a natural bridge for what we call the global north and the global south. And of course, we witness Kenya's economic success, its aura as a vibrant entrepreneurial hub. I've only seen a bit of the city, but I look forward to discovering even more today. And if we look back a little bit, we take real pride in a long-standing collaboration with Kenya. Our partnership is old and is not based on a shared border, is not based on a common history, is not even based on a common language. So we actually chose each other. We decided that we were going to be friends. And I think those are perhaps the strongest ties. We're building this partnership brick by brick because we want to. We also share economic mutual interest. There are more than 140 French companies that are present in Kenya that are creating jobs. And Kenya's companies are also looking more and more into France, into Europe. And I think this is also important when you talk about peer-to-peer relationship and partnership. We have many nationals living abroad, and 2,000 of them, and even more, they don't always register, are in Kenya. And you have about 50,000 tourists every year coming to visit the wonders of this country. Yes, we can applaud them. Cooperation through the French Development Agency is also very powerful with projects in water, global health, architecture, I mean, you name it. In challenging times, this partnership is even more valuable to us, to France. There's no denying that the global world is fragmenting. As we're seeing the return of imperialism and brutality, as conflicts and violence have become increasingly normalized, we need reliable, responsible actors around the table. And I dare to say that we are responsible partners around that table. The growing effects of climate change and its major impact on people and communities are devastating. France experienced a huge storm close to here in Mayotte in December 2024. But facing this context, both Kenya and France share a vision that multilateral frameworks are needed more than ever, and yet international norms are being torn apart. We have a strong commitment to act together on global security. France, being a permanent member of the UN Security Council, is also committed to tackling world imbalances and protecting our planet. Last year, the French diplomacy raised more than 30 billion euros to fight against the world hunger at the World Nutrition Summit. We hosted a big mobilization on feminist diplomacy, which I know is also a subject very important. And we set an ambitious target at the last COP in Brazil. In a few weeks, France will host a summit on health policy called the One Health Summit to establish, convince, and act upon this basic idea: the health of our planet, the health of all living beings, of all animals, is directly linked to human health. So this is what we do and hope for the world: more cooperation, more compromises, more common rules, more partnerships, less brutality. Peer-to-peer relationships based on balance, respectful relationships. And as Minister Delegate for Foreign Affairs, I'm personally committed to these issues and more broadly to multilateral dialogue. Since 2017 and the election of President Macron, there has been a deep renewal and transformation of our relations, notably with French-speaking African countries, but actually with all of them. And we wanted to set the basis for this new relationship on one essential idea that I've repeated along my speech, but I'll say it again: mutually beneficial partnerships, rooted in a few principles, which I will briefly cover. First, France systematically advocates for fair representation of African countries in multilateral institutions. Second, we need to create economic opportunities for everyone. We strengthen our links with the private sector and civil societies by including the diasporas in this action as well. Third, France has completely reshuffled and reconfigured its military presence in the continent, working hand in hand with African countries to redefine cooperations and partnerships. Fourth, and this one is absolutely decisive, France has been addressing its memorial issues lucidly, very clearly, with no taboo, especially regarding its colonial past with some of the African countries, but also including its action in the post-independence area. Lastly, France has broadened its ties with English, Swahili, Portuguese-speaking African countries. And this is also something different because when you think of the African-French relationship, you'll think of Francophone countries. And actually, it goes way beyond that. And the fact that we're having this conference here in Nairobi is also an example of how our relationships have changed and evolved.